fuck going on, Wailers?
GCI, and I should go phone. Right at that in my bitch to the tone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this awesome episode of Education Street. We're going to talk about cupcakes and the economy. So, most of the countries come out of COVID. The world is still, I think globally, we are trying to refine ourselves post Wuhan virus, aka COVID virus, and once again we cater to the cupcakes, which is, we can't call it the Wuhan virus, we got to call it COVID-19. Well, I hate to be a fucking cynic here, but I could bet you a double from In-N-Out that if that virus started in the middle of Tehran, Iran, it would be known as the Iranian virus or the Tehran virus. And I'm sad to say there'll probably be some missiles launched at them. I haven't seen any missiles against China, but I'm just saying no one would be this sensitive if it was in any other place, because we once had this thing in 1968 known as the Hong Kong flu of 1968, which killed, I think, close to 1 million people worldwide. There's nothing wrong with naming a virus after its origin point. It lets you know where it began. That's how shit is done in science. So anyways, back to the economy. So I think cupcakes are going to have to start going on to a Wagyu diet very soon. Some beef diet, some proteins, whether it's from, your fucking plants, wherever you want to get. But they got to start eating healthier, because what a lot of people don't realize is before COVID, with a lot of the stuff that, whether you want to give him credit or not, but the President of the United States did, I think, a wonderful job in terms of strengthening the economy. What he did in 4 years, what's funny is the Obama administration really tries to say they take all the credit. I hate to say it, they didn't do shit for it. As an MBA, I could tell you that they didn't do a whole lot. Because if they did, he had 8 years to really show those gains. The economy did improve, but the way it catapulted with all the stuff that was going on was astronomical the last, 4 years. We had the lowest unemployment rate in human history in the United States. It was like 3 and some change percent. But this is where the cupcakes are going to get destroyed. You see, right now, the global economy, and when I mean global, I also mean America, because we're a part of the globe. What a lot of people don't realize is that there's been some resistance to these cupcake millennial, self-entitled little crybabies. And on the one side, companies are laying off people a lot. Like MGM, not too long ago, laid off 17,000 workers. Fucking scary. And that's just one out of many, okay? And that's in America. So we have this issue. On the one side, you have companies laying off staff. On the other side, you have companies who have hired people, or they've retained people. And what they've realized is during the height of all these lockdowns, the ones that were still working, what they realized was they no longer need to employ the same amount of people that they used to have, because now they could run their organizations with like half the amount of people and they're getting 2 times the amount of work done. And I'm not making that up at all. You can read Bloomberg, you can read Wall Street Journal. There are articles about this, about how organizational efficiency, which is a fancy word for employees just getting a lot of shit done, okay, has been at one of the all-time best it's ever been. It's kind of taken us near that gilded to golden age of America, where people just were getting shit done. We weren't on our phone 6 hours a day and getting paid to like look at cat videos when we should be working and doing things. That's what the cupcakes were doing, looking at cat videos on YouTube, or some girls, G-string photo shoots on Instagram consistently. So that's what they've realized. It's like, wow, instead of hiring 100 people, I can hire 40 people, keep 40 people, my best 40 people. My best 40 people who are out producing the 100 people that I had altogether. And because of this, I don't think unemployment will ever go back to below 4%. It's going to be a long time. I think there will be certain changes that will need to take place for us to get anywhere below 4% ever again. But I think the new normal, and a lot of us here, we think the new normal for good unemployment will be between 8 and 10%. Because even small businesses suddenly realized, man, why'd I have 2 people, for example, working per shift at like, let's just say the coffee shop, right? I was going to say Starbucks, but they're technically a big business, even though on a per store basis, they're kind of a small business. But small businesses have realized the same thing. Like, wow, we're getting more work done and we're saving money on payroll and payroll tax with half the amount of people. And cupcakes are going to be for a rude awakening. Because while their little egos have been stroked so delicately with a lot of fucking lubrication, they are going to have to really tighten their belt and make a conscious decision as to how they want to mature. Because we have some staff that we helped here get jobs during the height of COVID. While everyone and all their fucking friends got laid off, we helped them get jobs. And good jobs. And all their friends are shitting bricks as to how they got hired while they all got fired. And my answer was, well, you're a cupcake. This individual is Maverick from fucking Top Gun. Balls to the wall. Willing to eat a lot of shit, which is what the people who are in charge of these positions have suffered. A lot of them are eating shit. Some of them grew up in the hood. Some of them grew up in really bad neighborhoods. Maybe not the hood, but it's just a bad neighborhood. Poor neighborhood. Lack of access to clean water. Yeah, that happens in fucking America, dude. Flint, Michigan. Many parts of California don't have clean water, okay? Just saying. So they went through things. And they're at a point where like, hey, if you can't run at my speed and row this fucking canoe in the same direction I want to go in, at my rhythm, get the fuck out of here. And the cupcakes would all cry. But now these individuals, these strong, right, resilient young women and men who are in powers of decision making, like the fact that they don't need to work with these cupcakes. And they've been able to hire people like on our staff, like the Mavericks on our staff, because they want to work with these people. Because they know they're going to test them and give them a lot of work to do, and they're not going to bitch and complain about it. Because our Mavericks are like, you know what, dude? Sitting at home fucking sucked. Being jobless sucked. Having a 1-month vacation was great, but I used that time, or 3 months for some people, I used that time to better myself, improve myself, work on my CV or resume, work on my pitches, broaden my skill set. Maybe I went and learned something online on YouTube, whatever, right? They took the opportunity to make themselves a better human being. And I think a lot of companies have realized this. And that is why I don't think unemployment will go down 8% for a long time. It just won't. And in the United States, we think, and look, we are not a party group, okay? We're gonna have to say that probably like every fucking episode, right, guys? Yeah, they're all saying yeah. We have no affiliation in any party. We are Education Street, so we speak from the point of education, okay? Like Aristotle walking with his young students as he would walk and teach. It is no different. We have been reading and seeing some of the things that the Democrats want to do. And first off, presidential nominee Joe Biden is, I mean, the guy we think has Alzheimer's. He definitely has dementia. There are a lot of doctors we've spoken with the way his hand is shaking like that all the time. He can't remember anything, and he always references 1930. Like, God help us. You do not want a man or a woman who references 1930 to be the leader of this country. We really shouldn't. But his taxing policies are no different than what any Democrat has really imposed for the last 40 years, which is, oh, we're going to tax the rich. Well, guess what? You fucking guys did that for so many years, and you had one of the largest exoduses of wealth in the United States in recorded history. That was done during the Obama years. And year after year, you had record numbers of people relinquishing their U.S. passports who were living and working abroad. So let me explain this to you. If in 2010 they had a record, that means in 2011 more people relinquished their U.S. passports and citizenships than they did in 2010. Going up to 2016, that trend continued, where people were getting so shafted by the taxes by the Democrats who were living in other countries that they gave up their citizenship and their passports, which is something that people like literally are dying on fucking boats and trains trying to come here to obtain. So that should say a lot to you. So the Democrats, we unfortunately feel that if they do come into power, we don't think unemployment will go below 10%. We don't. Right now we are stable economically, but from the economic standpoint, we think Joe Biden will probably step down within a year. He does not have the health to stand there for 4 years. I mean, he just does not have the capacity. And Kamala Harris, for those in California, dude, she was just one of the worst fucking attorney generals you could have had. Had no empathy. Tried to jail the parents of special needs kids because they were trying to take her to court to get their kids to have mental health care. But she said, if you do that, I'm going to put you guys in fucking jail. Well, if that's not Kim Jong-un, then what is, right? So do you want someone like that who has zero economic understanding of the world to make economic decisions? So if they do that with higher taxes, it's going to be detrimental. I mean, for all the people in New York, ever since Cuomo and de Blasio have imposed higher taxes, just during these last 4 to 6 months, New York has had one of the largest amount of exoduses taking place in this country. It is why home prices are high in other states, because they're all from New Yorkers leaving New York. Because they're just like, fuck it. Like, why are we paying all these fees when crime is like literally going at an all-time high in New York? Our services are shit. Our subways look like something out of the apocalypse. You want a subway? New Yorkers, you should be mad at your subway systems. Go to Japan. Go to Korea. Go to Germany. Subways look much fucking nicer than in New York. The subways in New York, like, no wonder they were freaking out about COVID. The thing is a cesspool of disease when you just walk in there, But anyways, whole point is they increased taxes and people left. And that's what's happening in California. And Washington State is seeing the same thing. People are just like, fuck this, dude. Like, I'm leaving the place that I call home. I'm tired of these dumb policies. So if Biden wins, we don't think the economy will recover, because it'll go back to how it was. We're not going to punish China by violating WTO trade agreements they made with the United States. We're going to get rid of the tariffs, which will move all the manufacturing and stuff back there. And a lot of the economic boom that took place here is because so many jobs actually came back to the United States. Now, if you live in California, you didn't see that because we're such a high-tax fucking state. But if you lived in other states, like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Idaho, fucking Montana, the Dakotas, Carolinas, Texas, Alabama, Arkansas, dude, they saw really good levels going back. And this is just the beginning. So, unfortunately, we don't really care what your personal viewpoints are, but we're just speaking economics. We feel, because we've been seeing the kind of economic stability that we've had right now during COVID compared to other countries, and the stuff that the Trump administration has done has been flawless. We were kind of ridiculed for doing an immediate $2 trillion payment program. Like, the European Union made fun of us, right? Well, guess what? The European Union is now trying to emulate us because they have massive civil unrest taking place there. They have a lot of people losing their homes, a lot of people getting evicted, a lot of small business owners losing their fucking hard-earned money to open whether it was a restaurant, a bar, a pub, you know, a small business, a small manufacturing business that they wanted to turn into a giant maybe one day. A lot of them are getting destroyed. So they are now copying us. You know, it says a lot. You know, I think if we didn't have the economic stability during these hard months, things would have played out a lot different. So you got to give credit when it's due, and that credit is rightly due to them. And the irony is when they're trying to, you know, unleash this program, it was people like Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats, Bernie fucking communist Sanders was against giving people money. The one guy, right, the one guy that should be all about giving you and me and all of us free fucking money was against it. How does that make sense? It just shows he's full of shit. So anyways, to wrap this up, you know, we're at a point where the cupcake people are in a tough position because we just don't think the economy will go back to where it was. And oh, here's a question. Okay, so the question, and I'm seeing it up there, it's coming in from a user. They are from Oklahoma. OKC. Okay, awesome. So this is their question. They're going, okay. They're saying, well, if we lose our jobs, can't we regain our jobs in other industries, like such as housing or construction? Okay, that's true. You might be able to, you know, the jobs lost, you might be able to gain some jobs somewhere else. But this is something to think about. Do you think there's going to be that many construction jobs, like all the fucking time, that we're going to be able to cover that 4% deficit in unemployment? And my answer is probably not. Because what if those construction firms are going, hey, I don't need as many people like I did, because during COVID, we ran with half the staff and got more work done because we had less people to rely on. My crew is working more efficiently. I don't need 50 people anymore. I'm happy with the 10 that I have, right? From what we've interviewed and gathered, most businesses and business owners, doesn't matter what business they had. It could have been a coffee shop, could have been a car wash, a nail salon, a construction company, a construction firm, GM, you name it. They've all realized they don't need the amount of people that they used to. And when you take into account that we are in a really interesting year, and the next few months is going to be really funny to see how it pans out, but there's a lot of forces going on. And we haven't even discussed, and we will right now, about how a lot of companies are realizing, oh my God, I don't need to have an office anymore. I'm going to have everyone maybe work remote, or I'm going to rent an apartment and have everyone come there. I mean, I don't know, right? But a lot of companies are going, we don't need an office. So now we don't need to pay rent. And I'm not absolutely 100% sure on the next thing I'm about to say, but they probably don't need workers' comp insurance anymore because they're not working at work. They're working at home. So they're going to save a ton of money there. With less people working, they pay less payroll and payroll tax. They're going to save a ton of money there. What else are they going to save on? Utilities. They have no more utilities if they don't have an office space. Okay? The operational expenses that are going to be saved are going to be huge. And I think landlords who have office buildings, you might see a recession with them happen. And a lot of just small, let's say, commercial buildings. You know, they might have like a Starbucks in it and like some other, businesses. But a lot of these might go vacant because people are realizing, oh, wow, like we don't need all these people. We don't need an office space anymore. Like we can meet at Joe's house once a week and get our shit done, And I think as a result, you're going to see pay cuts because as people work from home, companies are going to go, well, okay, that's great, but we're not going to pay you $100,000 a year anymore. We're going to pay you like 60, maybe 70. And people will have to be okay with this. At least from what Bloomberg is showing, people are so happy that they're working from home and they're getting their work done that they don't want to go back to the office. That maybe they'll have just like one group meeting at the park. Imagine how great that is. Like you meet once a fucking week at the park, you get all your shit done, and you guys go home, So that's why I don't think unemployment's going to get below 8%. And I just don't see how other arenas are going to fill that void. I mean, there might be a possibility where the oligarchs of the United States, like the Walmart and Amazon, with their online shopping, they might, for example, hire more people. But there's a couple things to consider here. A, philosophically, how do you feel about a company like Amazon hiring so many more people that literally they become the only thing we can go to buy things? Personally, I don't believe in that. I'm all for business succeeding, and I truly applaud Mr. Bezos for where he started and where he is. But at some point, we have to let new young people be able to succeed. If we keep allowing the giants to eat all these small businesses, it creates problems. B, the jobs offered, are they going to be, relatively good jobs? And I'm not saying that what Mr. Bezos does is wrong, because he's really become a business genius in a sense, but will it be the same quality of work that the individual had, let's say if they had come from a different like IT company? I don't know. If you're like an IT software engineer and now you're part of the fulfillment center, just putting things in boxes, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be the same type of work. But let's just say they do hire a lot. Is it still going to be so many people that it'll offset that 4%? I just don't see it, because even they are going to probably look towards more automation, which is something that they've really discussed about to streamline their processes. So it's a tough one. I think there could be like a construction boom, but I just don't see. I mean, right now, up until, even maybe now, like we had close to 30 million people unemployed. Are there 30 million like craftsmen that need jobs? I just see when you look at the numbers like that, it paints a different picture. So that's why we're saying if unemployment was at 3%, and it was the best for everyone, for blacks, Latinos, Asians, all people of color, whites, females had some of the best employment records before COVID. It just really comes back down to this whole thing of once the economy is fully up and running, once the economy is fully up and running, and we're past the election, are there going to be that many other jobs in other industries where people can go and apply to them? And that's the thing. It just, when you take 30 million, I just don't know if from the continental United States to our territories in Puerto Rico, Guam, Hawaii, and Alaska, if, like, for example, with the construction question, right, from OKC, if that's going to take place. I just don't see it. And then what happens when you go into a recession? It's going to be, the side effect would be way worse than the gains made if all those jobs were somehow fulfilled. So this might be the new norm, people, where 8 to 10% unemployment will be really good. And that is something to think about and digest. It is kind of scary. And unless if we make certain economic changes in the United States, and we don't think the Democrats are going to do it because they want to take everything back to China, and that's this is very upsetting. And you have places like California whose combined state and federal income tax is 50%. And we look like Somalia out here. Our roads are some of the worst roads. We don't even have an Autobahn. They canceled our high-speed rail, collected probably $60 billion in taxes. Where'd the money go, right? Dictator Newsom, a.k.a. Governor Newsom, probably buying more restaurants and wine farms. That's what you're doing. If we don't make drastic economic changes, and one can bash China, but hey, when it came to economic policies, they kicked our ass. And if we don't make those type of changes, or the way the Germans did, or Scandinavians, we're going to be a country of many countries. Because you're going to have high tax places like California and New York, where high skill jobs won't exist, which will equate to high paid jobs will not exist. And the only way that I could really see unemployment falling below 8%, let's just say we get it to 5 to 6, which is really, really good, okay, is if certain political changes happen where the politicians listen to the business leaders from small, medium to big, and then maybe certain taxing policies will take place which will decrease our taxes, which will lead to more innovation, and it will allow companies to prosper. Because the way it is right now, it's not going to happen. And with the way it is right now, we just don't see unemployment falling below 8%. Because, to wrap this up, a lot of companies are realizing they don't need to pay rent and you have office space or a location to go to anymore. Because of that, they get to save money. On top of that, they might not need to buy workers' comp because their employees are no longer working at a location. And who's to say that they might not get reclassified as a independent contractor? Because you can probably do that at that point. And then they'll save more money there, just about the grand majority of companies are realizing, wow, we don't need these fucking cupcakes who just are so self-entitled. They work here for 2 weeks, then they want to be the manager the next day. They're like, fuck you little crybabies. And they're going, wow, like with half the staff, we're getting 2 to 3 times more work done now. These are the people we want to work with. They want guys like on our staff, our Mavericks, who are able to just work at the speed and get the efficiency done that they need to get done for their superiors so that their organization succeeds. And a lot of these companies, that's what they realize. These COVID months made people realize in the business world, not only in our personal world, there are a lot of things that you don't need, and we can get done with so much more with half the stuff that we used to. So, for example, for businesses, they're just realizing we don't need to have so many fucking people working for us because nothing was getting done. And now, with half the staff, we're getting 2 to 3 times more work done. So, on this episode, if you're a cupcake, it's time to man or woman up. Time to tighten your belt. Time to polish your skills. Time to appreciate your job and stop fucking complaining about your job. And it's going to be interesting, people. So hopefully we'll revisit this in a year from now, see where we are. But the council has spoken. We really hope this was informational for you and educational. And maybe it it resonated with some of you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Be safe, be glorious, and be amazing.